Excellent. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mobility Monday, where we are doing Mobility Lab, where I've been doing some experimenting on myself. I've hired a couple of different coaches. I've been learning new things and stuff, and I want to share because it's been really helpful for me to experiment on myself, see how it's affected me, take in that information over a few weeks, and then be able to share with you. And just we'll all benefit from outside teachers, us as a team ourselves. So we're going to focus on side splits, so middle, so not mid side, yeah, middle splits and pancakes. So the ability to take your legs out to the side, fully to the side as much as you can, and also the ability to take your legs out to the side and do a forward fold into it. So that's pancake. So side splits and pancake. Now, this particular one is Emmett Lewis, if you know him. He is the Irish splits wizard. Well, he's not just the Irish, but he's known as the splits wizard. Just because he is such a varied circus and basically all-round background in flexibility and mobility. And his combined with a couple of other different approaches that I've been learning, just this one seems it spoke to my tissues. And I'm hoping that I can share as well as I can to see how it affects yours. The thing that I always like to do first is soften ourselves into positions, because we're going to be in end range positions. That's where we want to strengthen so that we can get more end range, more end range, more end range, but strength, strength, strength in those end ranges. And that's what makes the difference. So what we're going to be working on, obviously, with middle splits and pancake is basically the hips, the hamstrings, gracilis in the inside, possibly some side bending as well, because of the positions that we're going to be doing are doing some rotation. So the first thing that we're going to do is just basically sit in a forward fold so that we can just relax out the hamstrings. We can do it this way. Actually, let's change that up. Let's work on elephant walk. So as we're in this position, take your hands onto your knees and get into a good position. So a nice flat back, not a rounded back. We're going to aim to get hands as close to the floor as possible by just shifting our butt to one side as we straighten a leg. So if I do it front on, shifting my butt, straightening this leg, coming back out, shifting my butt, straightening the leg. Now, one of the key components of this is, as I'm doing this, I want to try and pull myself, my lower abdominals into my thighs, pull myself into this, and then do it. So every time you move, you want to suck yourself back in. So try and get these to touch this position here, wherever your forward fold is. Stretch, come back into that position, pull yourself together, stretch, and into position. So we're going to do that a few times. What you'll find is you'll start to get lower and lower and lower. We're not forcing any of these positions. We're just trying to get a little bit of more room into those hamstrings. Some people like to move in their stretches. Some people like to just chill. Some people have it different every day. So some days I like to move, some days I like to just sit. The other option for doing this is just to sit with flat, straight legs or slightly bent legs if your hamstrings are tight. And then I'll take my straight body, and again, I'll fold myself forwards, might hold onto my feet or my toes, and I'll just allow them to relax in that position. So both of them are in a stretched position at the moment. So choose which one is better for you. Today, I actually feel that my legs just want to relax in this position rather than move into the stretch. And we're going to do it until we feel basically just like a releasing, a relaxing of that area. Probably give it another minute or so. So in this position, I'm pulling my thighs towards my stomach, trying to give a nice flat back, and aim the stretch down the back of my thighs and into my calves. And just trying to breathe normally. If you're doing the elephant walk, we're all in front fold now. Okay. If you were doing the elephant walk, it's just slow, going into the stretch, backing off, and then squishing your stomach against your thighs again. Just try and get enough tension at the hamstrings. They're usually one of the most restrictive areas for when we're trying to get more range. Hamstrings, hip flexors, external rotation. It's like pick your box. Okay, how's everybody feeling? A bit looser in there? A little bit? Okay. So now we're going to go out to the side and we're going to dig gracilis. Pull you down. So again, that muscle that if you think of your quads on the top, your hamstrings on the bottom, think of the line of your pants in the middle and look for that line where you can get under slightly and just do a little fascial release. Again, I'll link to this in the class notes, just in case anybody hasn't seen it before. Posted it up last week as well. It's very, very helpful. You can get the fingers in and lift like I do, or you can get the fingers in and rub side to side. It really doesn't matter how you do it. You're just trying to get some movement in there. And then go for the other side. And there's no sort of time limit or anything. It's just go by feel. If it feels better, good. That's what we're looking for. And just give yourself a shimmy. See how they both feel. How far can you go down? And then from that position, just do a little bit of a side bend. So just into this position here, I'm going to put one hand down to the side. I'm going to think of keeping my body straight. So if you're straight towards the screen, one hand down the side, then just going to make an arm circle and try and get a stretch all the way through here. You can bend your arm if you want. Just try and keep that same position with the chest facing forwards. Back to the center, swap over. Just trying to get a stretch all the way down through the side. And then I'll just do sort of waves side to side. Couple more. And we're just going to take the arms out and do some gentle rotations. So think of your shoulders, your upper body moving, hips are staying at the same place. Oh, I'll get the wall beside me. Other side. You'll be able to feel one side's tight than the other. This side's tight for me. And just forwards and backwards. Shake it out. Okay. So we've got the heart rate up a little bit. We've got some movement through the hips, got a little bit of warmth. So we're not going to just focus on too much of warming up through the hips, because we want to see what this exercise can do. So get yourself into, I'll pull this down a touch. Get yourself into the starting position. This is going to be your position for most of the class. So get comfy in it. We're going to try and keep a nice upright torso. And the difference, so I'm not saying difference because you might not know the other one, but what we're thinking of doing is lengthening rather than folding. Okay, so we're trying to reach and lengthen rather than fold over, but we still want to engage the pulling from here and here to keep ourselves tight towards the legs. Now we're doing 10 sets of 5, 5, 5, and the 5, 5, 5 is in your widest straddle. We're going to take, we'll say left hand side, right hand side, middle, and then that's going to be the 5, 5, 5, and then that's one set. So if we go left hand side, it's me taking that position, pulling, so an initial pull, but I'm actually thinking of lengthening more than I am of folding. Okay, so I turn myself round, I face this direction, 1, and you can use your hand to pull you deeper to go further, so lengthening. Down, you're also using the muscle in your thigh, the muscle in your abdomen to pull, so really use the strength to lengthen. 1, 2, and then it's 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and then it's middle for 5. And the middle is the same. It's as if you're going down into a pancake. You can shuffle your butt back, but we're trying to reach and pull at the same time, but not just pull down for pancake. Does that make sense? Yes, good. So we're doing left, right, 3, 4, 5, 5, and then 5 in the middle, okay? I'm not going to give you tempo because you have to really listen to your body for this one. It's not just about going left and then going right and then going left and going right. It's about being able to shift the body over, lengthen, pull, feel. You can feel on the bottom side as well. Come back up, over, and it's however long that takes you to access the position that you want to get to. So where should you be feeling it? The engagement through your quads, through your hip flexors, through your abdominals, pulling you down, the back of your hamstrings, possibly your glutes as well, and possibly your low back. So all this stuff is getting worked. You may sweat, you may take breaks, that's completely fine. You may make noises, whether you're muted or not, it's absolutely fine. But we're just going to take it nice and slow, and we're going to experiment. We're going to do 5, 5, 5. These are alternates. We switch between each one. It's not 5 and then 5. We switch between each one, and then 5 in the middle. And then we're going to regroup, and then we're going to do the next 9 sets. Because Emmett likes to say between 100 and 200 repetitions, and then it's between 200 and 400 repetitions. But we are just exploring how this changes how we feel. So we're only going for 100, which is like that's the first sort of numbers that I would give anybody to start with. Otherwise, we're going to get a lot of DOMs. There's the potential for injury, and there's also the potential for people to just pull too much into it. So we're going slow, we're going nice and easy, we've got loads of reps to cover. So we're just going to take it and listen to your own body, okay? Ready? Let's do it. And it's in your own time. So if you finish before someone, doesn't matter. If you finish after someone, we'll wait for you. Okay. So first one is arms out to the side. You don't have to do your arms out to the side, but it helps you to twist over. Pull, lengthen. You can use your opposite hand to pull you to lengthen. Feel the engagement. Come back up, switch over. So that's 1, 1. I'll do this together. Always just think of lengthening in the direction of the leg. When you get to the fifth one in the middle, just wait till you've all finished. Take one hand in front, one arm behind. You're going to try and pull your legs as wide as you can. So for every 5, 5, 5, we're going to try and expand the legs, extend the legs. So this, pull your legs wider. That's set 1, okay? Now we're going for set 2. So for every 5, 5, 5, we pull the legs wider, okay? So as we push down into the ground, we're going to try and really extend into that middle splits. Who knows, we might have middle splits by the end. Shouldn't be getting any knee pain. If you're getting any knee pain, come back in a bit. If it gets too uncomfortable anywhere, just yell and we'll see if we can adjust it and make sure that it's challenging but still comfortable enough that we can actually get through it, okay? Round 2, we'll stop after every round so that we can just regroup and see if there's any questions. So left, right, 5, 5, middle, 5, then we'll regroup. Just wait till everybody's finished. So if that's round 2, hand front, hand behind, try and really pull them a little bit more, shuffle your crotch forward as the leg comes back. I'm starting to wish I didn't put this extra t-shirt on. And let's go for round 3. If it gets that we don't get to do 10 rounds, that's completely fine. If it starts to get painful or just gnarly, then it's experimental, it's lab today. We're just going to go with what's safe for us, okay? So let's go for round 3 in this new end range. If anybody has any questions during, just speak up. Let's see if we can figure it out. And again, shuffle, pull back, crotch forwards. Woo. You can move your bum about as well, try and get a more comfortable position. And then we'll go for the 4th set. Again, in your own time. So if you're watching this and a follow along as well, take all the time that you need, pause the video, shake it out. It's good to stay in the same position though, because you're in this position, it's harder to get back. If you come out of it, it gets a little more uncomfortable getting back into it, and then you'll just kind of give up because it's not as yeah, it's not optimal. Okay, are we on round 4? Is it round 4? Yeah. Cool, let's go for it. Ooh. How's everyone feeling? One thumb for okay, two thumbs for great. Thumbs down for this sucks. Everyone's get two thumbs. Oh, one thumb. Ingrid, yeah. Where's everybody feeling it? Just point if you don't want to move inside of the thighs. Yep. So that's another reason we do gracilis first as well, because it just becomes that you can't even go any wider. So it's good, I think, to just get that bit moved in. Are you ready to go for round 5? Halfway there. So before we do that, make sure you give yourself a shuffle. And it might only be a shuffle that gets you back to the initial first position of, you know, the first repetition you take in the last round. You might move further into a split, you might not, but it's putting you back into end range each time. So round 5, here we go. Remember as well as when you're going down, if you can think of pushing your legs down as well as doing that folding, you're strengthening everything. So it's like driving your legs down into the ground. And that stabilizes as well as builds strength. So that you're not just flopping over into your joints, your end range. Whew. Is anyone feeling this a little bit easier with each round that goes on, or is it harder? One thumb for easier, two thumbs for harder. Kind of, yeah. Ingrid's feeling easier. Good. I feel the same, Ingrid. The more that I do this, the more everything seems to engage a little bit more. If it gets a little bit harder, it probably means that you're actually using like the right stuff. If it's harder, it might also mean that you have DOMs tomorrow. Sorry. But that's kind of to be expected with mobility training and strength training anyway. So just go easy if you still want to be able to do whatever you need to do tomorrow that maybe involves legs. So round 6, are we ready? Who's roasting? It's hot, it's hard work. Again, hands, lift, shift, crotch forward, legs out. It'll be interesting to see the end of this video if I can actually visually see any progress in how I'm moving. This is a really good thing to do as well. If you film yourself, even if you do it on like a not slow-mo, what's the time lapse, you'll be able to see how your positions change from the start to the end of the mobility session. So okay, round 6, let's go. Nice, you all get really nice positions. It's interesting to see how everybody does it differently as well. I'm quite intrigued as well. Does anybody find it easier going side to side or forwards? So thumb is easier for side to side. One thumb, sorry. Two thumbs, it's easier going forwards. I guess it's half and half. For me, it's easier going side to side than it is for forwards. Even though I've got both legs that can obviously support me going down, I feel like much more control by going one side to one side. So that's about 50-50. That's interesting. Okay, guess what? Push and slide. Can you feel your positions change?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Can you feel how much engagement's happening? Yep. Oh, that's two thumbs. Yep, that's cool. Okay, good. What are we on? 7? Round 7? Yeah. And terrible for 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay, 8, 5, 7. 7, yes. Okay, let's go. Whew. Hands down and shifty. How's everybody feeling? Should we go for one more instead of the 10? Should we go for one more? Yeah. I know how much I'm feeling it through the very bottom of the hamstring near the insertion and near the inside of the knee. So I just don't want to push everybody too far, especially people that are on the recording that don't that aren't able to talk back. So let's only go for one more. Although if you're on the recording or like we are right now, you can certainly go do that extra too. But it's very worthwhile saying that if there's anything that gives you the slightest little bit of concern, adapt it. So if you're getting any sort of niggly in the knees or whatever, just whoop, bring the legs in, or you can sort of soften a little bit. But the main areas that are going to get targeted are here, back of the hamstrings, but no pain. It should be, yes, it's a stretch sensation. Yes, it's a strength in stretch sensation, but no pain. So if there's that little warning of, I'm not sure if this is right or not, edge on the side of caution and just soften your position a little bit. Right, ready for the last one? Here we go. Again, shuffle yourself out. Okay. And round 8. Shift and lengthen. Ooh. How is everybody? Just chilling. You good? How's it feeling? You want to do the other two? No, I think it's better to leave it at the 8. Yep, good. I'm glad you're all in agreement. I think it's worthwhile going to a point of, whoa, that's hard work, and then just leaving it there, especially on the first session that you've ever done, without going too far. So that's cool. What I would like you to do right now is take in some information. So in this position, if you remember your first round, and it's always a really good thing to do as well, is take in the like test and retest, if you like. So the first position that you get into before we did all this, how did it feel? You know, could you get your belly almost close to the floor? Could you put your elbows on? Could you put your hand on your chin? Did you have a flat back? Can you feel that your hips are engaging to actually be able to control the positions? Or do, you know, if you're on the recording, do you have to use your hands to go up and down and reach forwards? It's just that feeling of what's different for you. Are you able to get into a better pancake? Are your side splits wider? My side splits are definitely wider. My pancake's definitely a lot better. And like we were speaking about before the call as well, like DOMs from this will give you so much good information of what you have woken up, what you've activated, what you've strengthened. So I would expect to get a little bit of, you know, muscle soreness in through the hips, hamstrings in particular, maybe through the adductors as well. That's all to be expected, but hopefully if now that we've stopped at the 8th, it'll not be too bad. What we're going to do now is maybe just use them in my favorite ever hip strength exercise, because I know you all love it anyway. Is anybody any questions before we do? Just as we slowly come out of this position and make sure that you feel good. Move yourselves about a bit. Take the legs maybe side to side.
I was noticing feeling it a lot in my like SI joint and in the back.
Oh, interesting.
The back.
Is it when you were doing side to side or forwards?
Pretty much the whole time. Once I got wider,
Okay.
like that's where it felt like it wasn't so much in my legs that the limitation was, but it was more in the back.
Like a tightness or like an instability type thing?
A tightness.
Tightness.
Yeah.
How is you? Can you touch your toes? How's your forward fold?
Yeah, I can touch my toes.
Yeah. So maybe worthwhile spending some time doing some, you know, forward fold stretches just to soften out that curve in the low back.
Yeah, I think it was the twisting part too. You know, because you have to twist to get my belly towards the leg.
Yeah, Tanya, one thing that helped me, because it might be that the twisting, like you're asking so much of your pelvic muscles. One thing that helped me is when I was going out, I had my hands together. So that instead of just having 2 heavy levers, I was pulling against my arms so that I could at least like finish that circuit. It felt lighter. So I wonder if it's also just that you were loading so much in that like twisted that if you were squeezing or pulling apart your arms, it would feel more like lighter. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll try that. Thank you.
What way were you? Were you reaching or were you holding?
I think I was initiating from my belly, like, you know, like this.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly didn't look.
No, I mean,
you know,
it's not bad. It's just I felt it more. The limitation felt more in my back than in my legs.
interesting.
Yeah.
Let me do some research and I'll get back to you with more information on that, because right now I'm like, I don't know, but I'll find out. But it could be exactly like Mara said, it's too much of a lever, and that's where it's taken it, is at that bottom part with your body going heavier over that lever. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions on that specific? For like how often to do it as well, it's the sort of wushu protocol, which is like every single day. let's not do that every single day. I would say do something like that maybe once, maybe twice a week. But I think it can be quite intense. And that would be like a mobility practice of like a strength in those ranges for pancake, for middle splits. I would say only maybe about once a week, to be honest. Twice-ish. If you're doing that.
That was something that I talked with Kirsty about in the press to handstand mobility section, is I only feel mobility improvements after like a very serious, like 3 to 4 hour session. That's the only thing that makes me feel like I've really found that place. But after I do that, then I have DOMs for 3 or 4 days, and so I'm having a hard time finding that middle space. I don't know if it's just that I need to scale back and work up to it more slowly, or like move into that little more intense work and then work on that becoming normal, since that's what my body seems to enjoy.
Yeah, I am very much on the same path. It doesn't take me as long. Kirsty always refers to me as the Tin Man. My flexibility has always been terrible. It's taken me a long time to figure out how to work with it. And the only way that I can do it now is it has to be an intense session. I can't just, maybe I'll flop about and stuff. Intense sessions and using my end ranges in my training, like forcing myself to make sure that I'm engaging the same areas again and again and again, so that the body goes, oh, okay, so you're strong there and I'll use that, rather than just, I'll maybe use it once in a while. It's definitely, flexibility is such an individual thing. But I always feel that, just from coaching other people, there has to be something that basically wakes it up, and then whatever you've woken up, in that wake up phase, it can be challenging. But once it's awake, then you really go intense work. But it's not intense so much that, it's like you're trying to beat a world record or anything. It's intense enough that gives your body the stimulus to change. And then from that, you go into the positions. You use those positions to build, movement patterns and strength in those positions. So it's like a 3-stage mobility, if you like, protocol. Wake up the areas, challenge the areas, and then use them to do the things that you want to do. So for us finishing, my go-to is always, I've worked on the hips, specifically in like middle splits, front splits, pancake. I'm going to chill out in horse stance, because that is an area that we've already worked all these ranges. Let's really challenge it. So we can either sit in a horse stance, and to do that, it's knees out, toes out. So toes together. So heels out, not knees out, toes out, heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out. Usually gives you about the rough kind of stance that you want. You can go wider than that if it's comfortable to do so. Excuse me, sit the butt back and push your knees out. So we're creating external rotation through the hips to get that down. So try and get your knees over your ankles, and we're pulling the whole time. So it's not this, it's this. Trying to really pull, use your glutes. And the lower that you go, it's not a posterior pelvic tilt. So it's the opposite of handstand. So that's handstand, but I'm rounded. We want anterior pelvic tilt, sink down, knees out. You can hold that position as it is. You can sink down and constantly try to pull your knees out. You can go in and out of it, so like horse stance squats. You can have a weight out in front of you, so it challenges, but it gives you a counterbalance. And then you can also do side to sides. You shove your butt back and go over to the other side. There's so many ways to explore things that you've done. And it's just about, where did I feel it in the exercise that we were doing, to challenge it. And now that I've woken those up and I've really challenged it, yes, I'm a little fatigued, but let's work it in the positions that the body moves in. Whew. I can definitely feel it. Deep, 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 deep. So you can go deeper, or you can go wider and deeper, and then side to side. Always remember for horse stance, it's butt back, knees out, butt back, knees out, butt back, knees out. And that's about 90 degrees. Whew. And you can hold in the position, or you can move about in the position. It's really what works best for you. I am toasty warm now.
Hamstring connector, like where my hamstring connects. I really feel it.
At top or bottom?
At the top.
The best part. Yes. Well, hopefully you'll all feel good tomorrow. Now that you've done a wee bit of movement, so you can actually go back and feel it out again. And this is usually where I feel the difference, is once I've actually done some movement in it. Put yourself back. Shuffle about a bit. It'll be interesting to see from the start position. Again, how does it feel? Ingrid, that's awesome. Whoa. That's some difference. I'll just put you all on gallery. Nice. Mara splat. So how have you achieved flexibility so far? Because that's really good.
What did you just say, Gail?
How have you achieved your flexibility so far? If you feel that you've got struggles?
I'm a really big fan of FRC because I'm naturally flexible. So I specifically need to work on that strength. And I find with the shorter sessions, I might stress the joints a bit, but I'm not developing that muscle. So I really like to do pails and rails followed by like eccentric neural grooving. Nice. And what I tend to do, which is why the sessions take so long, is work in multiple angles, because when you have those weaknesses and those muscles aren't all working in concert, then you just tend to compensate in any one position. So I find I have to hit like several points on the clock to make sure that those muscles that want to hide from me eventually get out. But it means that the muscles that take over first, of course, they get super, super tired just so that I can hit those things that are harder to access.
Definitely.
But maybe it's also a personality thing, like me.
Well, it's the same way that, like, some people like to pulse, some people like to static stretch, some people like to just do in movements. It's definitely a personality thing. And some people that are naturally strong flexibility doesn't come easy. Some people that are naturally flexible, strength doesn't come easy. So it's definitely there's no one size fits all, and it's trying to figure out the things that fit you.
Yeah, I think my problem has been integration. Like I actually build muscle pretty easily and I'm pretty naturally flexible, but what lacks is the system working together properly. So I think I have to put myself into those very strenuous positions to tell those different parts of my body that they all need to work. I don't know.
Definitely. Or give it such information that it has to panic and figure out how to work as a team. What must we do? Oh.
Yeah, my stretching sessions are basically torturous corporate team building exercises for my muscles.
That's good.
So that's an interesting question, though, like causing your muscles to panic or your body, your system to panic versus like allowing it to feel safe and relax into it. Like those are totally different philosophies.
And I don't think there's any right one. It's literally just what works for you. And I think so much of flexibility is still in the science books that's not been explored. And I really love the coaches that are using, like old methods, like really old methods that, you know, work, like even the strongman methods and stuff like that are coming out more, you know, from like the ages strongman methods are coming out more now. And there's more people just exploring how much we don't know, but a lot of it is just basic common sense, like challenge your system enough in the ranges that you want to build, and it has to adapt. Like that is really the sort of simplicity of it. The same way as if you want bigger biceps, you have to keep challenging them enough to tear down to grow stronger.
Well, and for me, like coming out of the yoga world into the strength training world, a critique that I have of people who do achieve a lot through like passive flexibility is that it ultimately creates these imbalances. So you have people who are able to do the splits, but they don't necessarily have like the strength to maintain it. And so there's so many injuries in the yoga world that it seems to me that like the strength training perspective, that the whole system has to be able to operate in that range together, is the only way for me to think of avoiding injury. But maybe it's because I have too much flexibility to control it.
Well, it should be, and that's why it's like FRC is control yourself. It's like control all your ranges, give yourself a bigger buffer, because you know it's like the saying that they have as well that Spina had said is you will always regret not training in the where you get injured, basically in the area that you get injured, because you can't not get injured. You can't stop injuries happening. But when they happen, and if you have such a good protective system of strength and more ranges, then you'll be less, you know, you'll get injured less. And you've also got ways of being able to rehab yourself from that as well. But one of the things that spoke to me the most was, well, here's my end range, but if I get injured here, I'm screwed. So if I take my end range and I just keep bumping it up and getting stronger and stronger and stronger, for me, it's not about the splits. It's not about the pancake. Yeah, they look cool, but it's about having the control in those ranges to, one, be a little more injury prevention, if you like, because something can happen. Like I could fall in the ice and I go into front splits and it's like, ta-da, rather than tearing up everything in the process. And then, you know, having a really cool picture in the snow of the splits with a smile, or being in the accident and emergency with, you know, major torn hamstrings. And that was one of the things. It's just like, get your ranges and just keep bumping strength into them and take your ranges higher and higher and stronger and stronger. And you'll have that for life, because it's the old analogy of if you don't use it, you'll lose it. It's just so true. Like the body's not going to expend energy giving you all these ranges if you're not using them. It's just like, Gail's not using this range, we'll just turn that off. And the more that you turn off, the harder it is to wake them back up again. So for me, it's all about being strong and healthy and resilient, so I can go keep doing more and more things into older age, rather than just being like, this is cool right here, right now. If I get injured, I get injured. But it's like, nah, the body just doesn't forget injuries. So we need to be as resilient as possible and strong, because strength is the base. Even though we call it flexibility and mobility, it's strength. Just very specific strength training, and that fascinates me. I love it.
It's funny what you said, Gail, about slipping on the ice and ending up in a split involuntarily, unwittingly.
Yeah.
It's exactly what happened a few years ago to one of my yoga teachers, and at the time she was already well into her 60s. But that's exactly what she did. She slipped and tripped, and then she ended up in a split, and ta-da!
And how cool is that?
Exactly. And she was quite amused, and also she's a lovely, very small person, and really delightful. And there was this element of delight. So I'm so glad I've been practicing, because otherwise it would have gone.
No, I love that idea of like practicing for the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
exactly.
Something to that. Yeah. Cool.
As always, thank you very much for joining me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, also, I super love that high reps perspective. I'm going to play around with that. I like that idea, especially as we moved deeper in, because it became a different exercise the deeper in we went. So I agree with the
different sensations as well. Yeah, well, he knows his stuff for sure. Just don't get interested in the head to toe because it's just horrible. That's actually like the pulsing as well. So there's pulsing in the reps. So like ballistic stretching and stuff. And yeah, loads of good stuff. And it's literally just to get people to explore and see what works for them. So try it out. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay. Try something else.
In the next mobility lab.
Yes, join us next week in Mobility Lab, where you're the guinea pig.
Is that your American accent?
I've no idea what that was. I'll stick to Scottish.
Thank you, Gail.
Thanks, everyone. I'll see you soon.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, everyone. Bye.